Hello, in this video I'm gonna show you how to extend the battery lifespan on Xiaomi 14T and 14T Pro. There are several things that you can do in order to improve the battery lifespan. So we're gonna start by opening settings, and if you go to the battery options, then of course most of the things that you can do in order to improve the battery lifespan is over here. So we're gonna go through these options, and the first thing that you need to use, maybe not needs, but it is reasonable to do so, is use the battery saver. You want to tap on current mode in order to find different modes over here for the battery. And now we can choose between the performance mode, balanced battery saver, and ultra battery saver. Of course, you don't have to use battery saver all the time. However, when you have low battery, it is recommended to, of course, use the battery saver, which not only allows you to keep your device for a little bit longer. I mean, the battery can last a little bit longer with the battery saver, but the health state of the battery will also remain good for longer as well. Then we also have the battery checkup option. If you go over here, then you can see what you can do in order to reduce the power consumption. So over here you have some individual suggestions, all of which can be enabled and disabled, so you don't have to agree to everything. You also have suggestions like turning on dark mode, clear memory 10 minutes after locking device. So this is a pretty good few options. And once you select everything, then those minutes will add up and you will see how many ads you can save. And if you decide to do those things that you select over here and press this button at the bottom, then you will have the battery last a little bit longer this time. Now, of course, we also have charging options. So over here we have the option to turn on the top speed charging mode, which is like the fast charging option. However, I'm not sure if it actually contributes to the state of the battery or its health actually. Some people think they do. I mean, these options that they do, some people don't. So it's up to you if you wish to use it. If you believe that the fast charging or top speed mode makes battery run worse, then of course you can turn this option off. And then we're gonna go to battery protection. Over here, of course, we can check our battery health. So this is a pretty cool feature to always have an option to take a look at the state of our battery and react if something goes on. We can also check the temperature, but that is not important right now. What is important is the charging protection. We have three options. We have the regular charging that allows the device to charge up to 100%. And this is fine as long as you don't charge your device too often. I mean, you don't leave the battery connected to the charger too often, because you shouldn't. If your device charges to 100%, then you should, as fast as possible, disconnect from the charger. And if you tend to overcharge even just slightly, I would suggest using the optimized charging options that adjust charging based on usage scenarios. And if you press on this arrow on the right side, you also have the nighttime charging protection, which adjusts charging duration automatically to slow down battery aging. A pretty good choice, a pretty good option to turn on. And if you want to be even more cautious to the battery protection, if you want to make sure that the battery lasts for longer, then of course we also have the limited charging that allows the device to charge up to 80%, and it won't exceed 80%. And this is the ideal percentage for the battery in order to not ruin it. So if you want to be really careful and not destroy the battery quickly, then of course the optimized charging will be sufficient. However, if you want to be extra careful, then you have the limited charging option. Alright, let's go back. And now over here we can also go to additional features, and here we have the 5G battery saver, which is also a pretty cool feature that allows you to make 5G connectivity less power consuming in certain scenarios. Of course, it's not always, it doesn't work all the time, but only in specific situations where it is reasonable to do so, when it doesn't like harm or anything the 5G connection. So we can turn up this option on in order to use the battery saver even for 5G. And then In addition to that, if you scroll down in the battery settings, we have the list of apps that use the battery the most in the recent time. And by checking this list, we can find out which apps use the battery the most, and therefore we can even force stop some apps if they are running without the purpose. Of course, over here I have some example apps. So for instance, I know that I don't really use Google TV. I don't have any reason to keep this running even in the background, so I can force stop in order to reduce the battery usage. And the same goes with any other apps. You can also tap more apps at the bottom in order to find even more of them. So go through these apps and just force stop those that are draining the battery, and apps that shouldn't be always on or don't have to be always on. And now I'm gonna give you some additional tips that will allow you to keep the battery for a little bit longer. So the first thing that you can do is use the automatic screen brightness. Of course, I know that not everyone actually is a fan of this feature, but it definitely helps keep the battery for just a little bit longer. If you prefer to have the screen brightness set always to the same value or percentage, then of course you don't have to do that. And this is just a tip that you can use, but you are not forced, of course. And another thing that can be disabled to that won't be noticeable, I think, is the location services. So if you go to location, of course the location itself can be turned off as well, for as long as you don't need location. Like if you don't use Google Maps, if you don't use any other apps at the moment that require you to get your location, then turning off location is also a good way to extend the battery lifespan. And then if you go to location services, then over here you will find Wi-Fi and Bluetooth scanning, which also can be turned off. And the Wi-Fi scanning allows apps and services to scan for Wi-Fi networks at any time, even when Wi-Fi is off. So there is really no reason to keep this on, especially if you don't use Wi-Fi or Bluetooth that often. And if needed, then of course we can always go back to these settings and turn them back on just for a couple of seconds to use this feature. However, I'm pretty sure most of the time we don't really need to use those features at all. So it is better to turn them off and only turn on when necessary. And that's pretty much it. These are all pretty much basic but fundamental tips for extending battery lifespan on Xiaomi 14T and 14T Pro. Thanks for watching, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and see you in my next videos. Bye.